Hello, everyone. We're here. We've got Andrew with us tonight. Thanks, Andrew. So how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you, Sophie. Pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me onto your wonderful channel.
Oh, no worries. I'm just grateful you said you'd come on. So do you work as well?
I do. I work full time in crisis response for the government, so
Okay.
which is pretty full on.
Yeah.
But then I do eBay as a side hustle because I managed to build up tens of thousands of pounds of debts. So I did it,
Yeah.
to get the money to pay it off, basically.
So that was basically what got you into reselling then, I guess, was like because you had
Yes.
debt.
Yeah, yeah. I had £55,000 worth of debt that I needed to clear. Um, it's gone. I've actually paid off like that 55,000 now, but I've still got about just over 3 grand left at the minute to
Yeah.
clear. But yeah,
Is
it's,
that like interest or anything? Or
well, no, it's because some months you still don't have to go through the month, so you have to
yeah.
borrow money, don't you? You know,
Yeah.
so a few things have cropped up, or the boiler goes, or the car goes, or whatever. So sometimes you need it,
Yeah.
don't you? But yeah, thanks to reselling, no, I've that's the highest I ever got to, and it's obviously now. But the value of my savings now is greater than I owe. So
Yeah. That's great. So what made you obviously like because you had the debt? I'm guessing you were like looking around for like other ways to make money. What was it that kind of drew you into doing eBay?
what I was doing, I started off doing, the mystery shopping,
Oh
where
yeah,
you're going in places and you're getting paid to review them and whatever. I used to do a lot of that, but you'd get paid, say, like, I don't know, 15 quid.
yeah,
You'd have a meal out. You'd be out for your meal. That would cost, say, 8, 9, 10 quid.
yeah,
And then you'd have to go home and write a report about it. You'd be spending nearly 2 hours all told on it because, going there, eating, coming back, writing the report.
yeah,
It was 15 quid for it and half. Most of that's gone a meal. So I was like, this can't be the way to make money.
yeah,
I had a look on the YouTube and I come across, I'm sure you'd have heard of this fellow, a video by a chap called Nick Hills
yeah,
where he was talking about depression. And I
yeah,
suffer or have suffered with mental health issues in the past. So I
yeah,
was watching that and I thought, oh, I'll have a look. So there was other videos and it was all about this reselling he was doing. And I've always been a bit of a wheeler dealer. I've got a can of cider on here. I used to sell cans of cider on the bus for £1 a time back
Did
when I
you?
was, where you could get them for like 30, 40p. So there's always had that sort of, entrepreneurial, buy stuff low, sell it high kind of thing. And
Yeah,
I thought, well, let's do this formally. So I started doing it, used the money I was getting from mystery shopping. I was doing online surveys and all sorts. And
yeah,
I was making 50 or so quid a week from it, a couple hundred a month.
yeah,
So I put that money to one side until I had about 250 quid. And then I was like, right, I got to go out and buy some stock and I got to try and sell it for a profit.
yeah,
And that was it. Started me off. I've had my own office. I've got 2 industrial units at the minute and all sorts. It's getting massively snowballed. It's all over my house. I'm surrounded by, uh, uh, I'm sure you know what it's like, don't you? You just end
yeah,
up surrounded by crap, don't you?
yeah. I saw one of your videos actually. Well, not just one last night because I messaged you as well. Um, I saw another one. You were going around like your, kitchen, living room kind of area, and it's just rammed, isn't it?
I, I've had about 2 weeks of not been able to sit on this sofa, but I've cleared the space now. I've got the room to store it, but then the time to take it to storage becomes a factor then. So
Yeah, yeah, you're right. I'm just gonna jump in the chat a moment if that's okay. So Tonks is in. Hiya, Tonks. Um, Pete, have you started your YouTube channel yet, Pete? 'Cause you were toying with that. Do let us know. Chris Tyler's in. Hello. Peter Ray. Hiya, Pete. Hope you're feeling better from COVID soon. Damien's in. Hello. Just coming down. We've got Kevin in. Hi, Kevin. Thanks for joining. Richard Payne. Hello. Thanks for joining. Is that Derek's brother, Richard Payne?
It is indeed, yeah. It's his older but younger looking brother.
Oh, I see. Derek's actually on next week as well, so we'll be talking all about his barn and things like that. If you want to come and join us next week too. Limelight Vinter's in. Hello. And we've also got Woo Woo in. Babs, hiya Babs, thanks for joining. Emma's in as well. Hiya Emma. Ali Evans too. Thanks for joining, Ali. I've just seen Ian J. I've also seen them Fix It in. I'm not sure whether I've just scrolled past them actually, but hi Leo if I have. Not yet, but getting there. Just doing a few practice videos for now. Yeah, just wait till you feel comfortable. But I think you should, just give it a go. Just start. My first video was like awful. I just did it off on the cusp actually. I just thought, I'm just gonna do it. Cardi at number 53. Hello. Can you remember your first video, Andrew?
I can. It was before I was reselling. It was about a website I was running, which still exists at the minute, the Money Mental website. It was awful. I had bought a camcorder. I'd bought a camcorder to film it on. I filmed that, and it was a cheap Chinese thing that I'd bought from eBay, and the picture quality of it was just horrendous. Let alone me rambling along for about 10 minutes.
How long ago was that? Can you remember?
Years ago, would have been 3-4 years, possibly longer, possibly 5. I don't know.
Hi, Amstem, Paul and Marie. Thanks for joining. Fix It's in. My Leo. Hello. I think we're just at the bottom there now. So if there are any questions you guys want to throw in as well, then please do. So is it just eBay that you sell on, Andrew?
I had during the pandemic, I had before I used to sell eBay and Facebook Marketplace. I was the biggest supplier of second-hand televisions in Wrexham at one point, because I'd buy TVs on eBay at auction or in a charity shop for £5-10, and then I'd sell them on eBay for 30. Not eBay, Facebook Marketplace, local delivery or collection for 30-40 quid.
Yeah.
Very lucrative. But then the pandemic hits, and you don't want to be going out or having people come to your house, do you? So I stopped doing the Facebook Marketplace then, and I started doing vintage clothing on Depop.
Oh, okay.
Doing all right with that, and then just gradually the sales on the Depop just started to subside post-pandemic. So I've given up on it now. I still have a Depop store with items listed on it, but I don't go on and
don't like new items on there.
I don't put new stuff on it.
Yeah. Have you ever used like Vinted or anything like that?
Banned from Vinted.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Why is that? Did you get found out?
Commercially selling on it, yeah. So they banned me from that one. Well, I was reported as well by people because I made the mistake of saying, I've got a vintage store, here's my account and whatever, and then some people took issue with that and reported me to Vinted.
Oh, that's just sad.
And they had the screenshot of me post and everything. I was like, I can't really argue against this. So.
Oh my god, what job's worse? Where's your favourite places to kind of go for stock then? Do you prefer like charity shops, car boots, that kind of thing?
So most of my stock these days I get from contacts that I've built up. So what I always say to people, they go car boots, charity shops, whatever. Make friends with the regular sellers or the charity shop managers, whatever, or the employees there, because when they realise what you do, you might get one or two who are hostile to it. Ignore them. But the majority would be like, this is somebody who I can, because they get a lot of stock in. Your house clearances, folks, they're doing house clearances every week. They need to shift the stuff so they can get more in. And the charity shop, same principle. You get one that's high turnover. They get a lot of donations. They don't want to turn the donations away. They want to make money from it.
Yeah.
So if you let them know that you're into picking up stuff and you say to them the sort of stuff you like and you want, they put it away. They'll put it aside for you.
Yeah. That's
So
quite
so,
good.
so for me, house clearances and the charity shops, but not. I don't go in a charity shop and pick the stuff that's off the shelf very often. I tend to have stuff that's I've pre-ordered, as it were.
Yeah.
Um, Auctions, I'm a big fan of as well, but I have I buy blind from auction a lot, which you should never do. You should always go to the viewing and see the stuff
Yeah.
before you buy on it, because you need, or at least get a condition report. But I never
Yeah.
have the time to go to a viewing day, so if I see stuff that's going cheap enough, I'll buy it, and I'll buy enough of it that I'm going to make a profit, even if half of it is not, of sufficient quality.
Yeah. I've never done auction actually. I would quite like to do it. Can you recommend like a website or anything?
Um, the best thing with auctions, I would say, the best way to buy is to do in person, because
Yeah.
there are websites you can go on, Easy Live Auction, and auctioneers sell online there. But what's happening then is you're paying a commission to the website and to the auctioneer as well.
Oh, okay.
Um, I think it's only about 3% on Easy Live, but still money you're giving. But what
Yeah.
you can't do on Easy Live is, say the bidding's at £5 and the auctioneer's not really gonna go any lower than that. You can't say to him online, "I'll tell you what, I'll make a cheeky £2 bid on it." But you
Yeah.
can in the room, and quite often you go, "Oh, all right, yeah, have this for £2," because a lot of auctioneers are house clearance guys themselves as well. So it's quite
Yeah.
often it's their own, it's stock they've picked up.
Yeah.
So sometimes they're like, "Oh, I'll let it go," but they don't. You've got to make that connection in the room sometimes to achieve that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. What do you think your best flip has been?
My I tend to focus on buying stuff for like £1, £2, £3. I don't follow the George Ross approach of sort of paying up for quality, because that works very well for people. But I was having issues where I was, you know, getting towards VAT and whatever, so I don't want to be anywhere near that. So I
Yeah.
tend to buy stuff for £1 and I'll sell it for 10, 15, 20. But
Yeah.
the best flip I've had in terms of sale value was a dress I spent £50 on.
Yeah.
So big investment for me that.
Yeah.
I sold it for, I think it was £300.
Oh wow, well done. Can you
On,
remember what dress it was?
There was some Italian designer, Bruno Cucciarelli, I think. It was a Ticketbacks. It was just like on the sale right there, and I thought, I know this is a brand that sells for really big money, because the original RRP on it was like £1,200.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, on it. It took me, well, it's £50. The RRP is £1,200. I shouldn't say this, but I could always return it if I
Yeah.
don't sell quick. Get me
Yeah.
£50 back. So why don't I just grab it and give it a try? And it's sold in a week.
Oh wow, nice.
So, and the profile, people on eBay, they can set up a profile. Even private buyers can set up one. So it
Yeah.
set up this buyer's account that she was a big collector of that particular brand. So I
Oh
knew it was going to go to somebody who was unlikely to be returning it, because
yeah.
it's perfect condition and everything.
Yeah.
She knows the fit, all of that, and yeah, I went to her and there were no issues. It was brilliant.
Oh brilliant.
You do get that nerve sometimes, don't you, when you sell something of that much
Yeah.
value? Oh, is it going to come back to me? Are they going to, find a
Yeah.
problem with it that I haven't spotted?
Yeah. It is like, yeah, it is a bit kind of nerve wracking when you do sell like a high value item. I've had one come back to me before, which I need to put back on. But yeah, it is a bit like, oh dear, is it going to come back?
It's a bit different for me now, but those days I was, as far as a lot of money in debt as well, so I couldn't really. Money was coming in, and it was going on the debt.
Yeah.
Or if I
Yeah.
had something of that value returned to me, I would be struggling to
Yeah.
be able to afford to refund him.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. What would you say your kind of most notable fail has ever been?
Good question. I mean, everything that I haven't listed would fall into that because I've got far too much stuff. I bought. I've had a few. I bought a job lot of keyboards, computer keyboards and stuff.
Yeah.
Really good price, pound each, and I was selling them for 11, 12 quid each,
Yeah.
so making a decent return on them. And then the problem was though, people were buying them to use with Windows 10 PCs, and these, even though I put on the listing, it's not compatible with Windows 10. They were getting it, opening it up, setting up. Oh, I don't work with Windows 10. I haven't read this. And then they would return it as an INAD, and I'm having to fork out for it to be returned. And my margin was just getting destroyed each time.
Yeah.
I had to take it off at the end because I'd have, I'd say I'd sell 5. One of them would have read the description, the other 4 wouldn't have. So it was
Yeah.
just costing me money each time.
It's so annoying when people don't read the descriptions, isn't it?
And it was like I'd put it in the title, I'd put it in the description, and I'd put a photograph to show what operating systems it was
Yeah.
compatible with. And it works. It does kind of work. The thing was, they think it broke. It kind of works with Windows 10, but the keyboard did. But there's a mouse of it that didn't work. It didn't have the right software to work on Windows 10. So then some were saying, "Oh, just give me a partial refund." But even then, I'm like, "Well, I'm gonna have to give you 50%, aren't I, to be, to be
Yeah.
fair?" So that was a bit of it wasn't really a fail in terms of, I bought something that wouldn't sell, but it was a fail because I hadn't anticipated that the customers would just, I don't know how to say this politely, but be that's stupid in their purchasing
Yeah.
choices. You know,
Well, you can't get any more clearer, can you? If you put it as like a picture in the description, and you could.
it's all over the place because I thought I had an inkling I might get that on 1 or 2, so I thought I'd be really clear on it. But it was just like my returns rate was going through the roof, and I was thinking
Yeah.
eBay will put me on paying higher fees for having too many
Yeah.
returns. So I had to stop it. I've still got loads of them in this room now that I need to. I'm gonna have to take to the car boot and just sell them for pound each to somebody else.
Yeah.
Probably what the dude who sold them to me happened to him in the first place. It's probably why he sold them. But
Yeah. June has got a question for you. Hi, Junie. Long time no see. Thanks for joining. Question for Andrew. You mentioned about your mental health earlier. Do you have any coping mechanisms that
yes,
help
yes, excellent question. It's called Thatcher's Gold.
that?
Available from all good supermarkets and Wetherspoons. Um, but on a serious point, a lot of it is about identifying what triggers you, I think. So I avoid the things and the people and the situations that cause me sort of stress and anxiety.
Yeah.
Or not avoid. I walk away from them a lot sooner than I would have done in the past.
Yeah.
So my best way of coping is to not get triggered in the first place.
Yeah.
But having a dog has made a big difference. I got a little dog as well, so having him about it always cheers me up. Although he brings his own
Yeah.
stress to him, and I use eBay actually as a coping mechanism as well because it distracts me from other things. I've got to focus on doing the shipping. I want to do some listing. I going out buying some sourcing. If you get something like and you think, I've paid £1 on this and it's going to sell for 40, 50 quid. It's a good feeling for that, isn't it? You get an endorphin. So,
Yeah.
and yeah, I drink more than I should.
I think lots of people are guilty of that, so I wouldn't worry too much. We all have our vices. Lisa, I hate that. Had it with some jean size. Did not match the tag. So in the description, the tag says, and the measurements are, but they never read it. Yeah, it's really annoying. Is that me making that like underwater sound? Can you hear it?
I can't hear anything, so maybe it's me.
I can just hear like a little oh, but I don't know whether it's me. um, if you have a return for does not fit, do eBay still penalise your account?
No, that is treated as a change of mind. That is, Lisa. So don't worry about that. About a do not fit or just doesn't like it. I think is a return reason stuff like that. No, they won't penalise you for that. It's just annoying because you paid to post something out to a customer and then it's
Yeah,
come. But yeah, no, that's eBay. Know that was particularly with clothing. They know that people will buy stuff that and it don't fit them. You
yeah,
could buy. I It's happened to me before. I've bought a jumper before, fits perfectly around here, but the sleeves are too short.
yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, because I'm a majority like clothing seller, so I have to admit I go through like spates of returns, and then I won't have any for say like a couple of months or whatever, and then I'll have like another handful of returns, and it'll all just be things like doesn't fit, doesn't fit, doesn't fit, and that's just like one of the risks you take when you sell clothing, really, isn't it?
So it's one of the reasons I've moved away from clothing and moved into other areas because the returns are good profits to be made and everything, but the return rate is much higher.
Yeah,
And for me personally, it might be different yourself. For me personally, it takes me a lot longer to list an item of clothing than it
yeah,
does to list other stuff because I'm trying to get. I mean, I'm rubbish at photographs, but I'm trying to get a photograph, some good photos of it. So I'm spending more time fussing about it. Sometimes you're steaming it, and
yeah,
then you've got to measure it as well. Because if you don't measure it, there are people who don't measure stuff and they just go off the size on the label and whatever. But
yeah,
I wouldn't recommend doing that because you get a lot more returns than for stuff not fitting.
yeah. Yeah, you do have to just put in that extra little bit of work with it.
And
Um,
for me, sort of doing it part time, I need stuff that I can list really quick.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's like me. I mean, like, well, I'm part time as well. Although I do the majority of clothing, I always just do like my clothing on my day off, and then if I get things like like video games, electronics, things like that, I can do that like anytime really because it's quick. Um, but yeah, I do love quick listings. I'm
The,
probably just a little bit lazy, really.
the dream is to be able to get stuff you can list quick and that sells quick, isn't it? Because then
Yeah, yeah. That's the aim of the game, really, isn't it? Like, you don't want things, sat around forever. James also says, great subject to discuss this, especially for men.
yeah, it's there's a real stigma. It's
Yeah,
less than there was when I first was diagnosed. Well, 2012 it was when I was first diagnosed with having generalized anxiety disorder and depression. It
yeah,
took me months and months before I even went to the doctor. I knew something wasn't right. I knew in my head that I was suffering from depression,
yeah,
and I reached out to friends to talk about it. And they'd be like, "Oh, nothing's wrong with you. You just need to cheer up and all the rest of it."
yeah,
And then the conversation would move on. And I went to the doctors, and the first time I went to the doctors, he literally just said to me, "There's nothing wrong with you. You just need to man up." And that was
yeah,
it. And I was like, I was suicidal. I was, I
yeah,
was making plans to. This may be a trigger warning for people, so apologies. But I was making plans to kill myself.
yeah,
So I went back and saw a different doctor, and she was completely different. And I don't know if that's because he was a male doctor of an older generation, and she was probably a similar age to me, and perhaps more
yeah,
accepting of things. But she got me in to see the crisis team straight away. Really helped straighten me out and save my life, without a
Yeah.
doubt.
Yeah.
But there was a real. I, it, I've noticed in that 10 years, there's a lot more openness and a lot more willingness for people to talk about men's mental
Yeah.
health in particular, because obviously ladies and men and non-binaries and gender fluids, we all suffer from mental health issues.
Yeah.
Um, but it's been really difficult as a man to be able to talk about that until
Yeah.
the pandemic hit. Really,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's changed a lot of things.
I think mental health is it's always been so common, but society hasn't always enabled us to kind of share that. Um, and I myself, like actually, I've suffered with anxiety and depression, on and off for years. Um, and I think, the pandemic kind of really sort of highlighted a lot of things for people, and a lot of people did start suffering with anxiety and things that they may not have necessarily suffered with, like
Yeah,
before. Um, but I got diagnosed with PTSD in the pandemic because where I was a respiratory respiratory ward sister at the time, and I was working on COVID wards like constantly, like every day, and being like donned up in like the hazmat suit and everything, like every day. And obviously a lot of people died, and it was on a daily basis. And it just sort of like caught up with me, really, like kind of like just kind of a year or so into it kind of caught up with me, and I started having these dreams where I was trying to put CPAP on someone, but
yeah,
I couldn't do it,
yeah,
and I kept waking up going like that. It was like I'd stopped breathing as well, and it went on for like quite a while. So I was like, I'm gonna have to speak to someone about this because this is like ridiculous now. Um, but yeah, I don't know, it just happened. Like I was fine. It just kind of happened. So I've been on like some antidepressants ever since, which has really helped. And obviously, talking about things and blah, all that kind of thing. But it can just happen as well.
it's an amazing thing you were doing. Though I worked closely with the NHS in the pandemic as a volunteer and also in
Yeah,
crisis response, and seeing what people like yourself went through on a daily basis. I don't know how any of you did it. They were absolute
yeah,
madness, and I
it,
still have to do now, even because
yeah. It's still
a lot.
here.
Yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, it just kind of it just sort of happened to me, really. I don't know. Like it was obviously must have just been like building up, and then it just kind of happened. Um, but
I,
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know how you cope with it for so long, and then it's one of those, isn't it? Where it
yeah,
builds up, and but it sounds like you, you, you've done the right things though in talking about it and getting the support.
yeah, yeah. And I can talk about it now because I can remember whenever I always found as well, especially like at the start of the pandemic, like nobody asked how I was. Like all people wanted to know about was like what was happening and
Yeah,
like, oh, is it true what they're saying in the papers and blah blah blah, and like, and then I'd come home and then I'd switch on the telly and then it was all over the news everywhere.
yeah,
So
no way.
I felt like I couldn't get away at all, and because I had like everyone just like asked me like all these questions, and then you'd go to work, then it was on the news, but no one actually asked like, are you okay? But yeah, it's but yeah, I'm fine now. But yeah, it was a lot at the time. It was a lot.
People expecting you to be a superhero and all the rest, but
Yeah,
you're a person the same as anyone else. You're going through the
yeah,
same traumas,
yeah.
and in fact, probably even to a greater scale in some regards too.
Yeah. So can you give us any tips? What's your kind of like best tips for
Oh,
reselling?
okay, right. Think about your storage, right?
Yeah.
Don't be like me, right? So yeah, storage is a big thing. And anyone starting out, my biggest mistake when I was starting out was not thinking about where I was going to store the stuff after I'd listed it and everything. So I
Yeah.
used to end up sleeping in my bedroom in my bed with stock in it, surrounded by stock, and having bloody boppets and Furbies going off in the middle of the night. It was a nightmare. So make sure you've got a dedicated space to store your stock. Use a stock control unit SKU system
Yeah.
because you will lose stuff. So
Yeah.
write down where it is. There's a field on eBay, custom SKU. You can put it in. Have a system to say where it is. I used to, my first few months, I was always losing stuff and never knew where it was.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, my biggest tip is to, I think, I think sometimes the things people miss as well is around the customer service. We
Yeah.
get pissed off about returns and whatever, and we get grumpy, and sometimes we let that out when we speak to people. We end up with negative feedback as a result. You've got to treat, you've got to think about each customer, even if they're being a bit of a dick. You've got to say to him, you've got to put yourself in their shoes, and how would I like to be treated, and
Yeah.
treat them in that regard. Um, and it's like I said before, when you become more established, it's all about the contacts that you make.
Yeah.
That's what will keep you going. So, make friends with the people who are supplying you the stock, and you
Yeah.
know, let them know what you're after. Let them know what you're doing. Be honest about it. Don't shy away. A lot of people get nervous. You know,
Yeah.
they won't go into a phone and look up stuff. And yeah, always take time to look up stuff as well. Don't just buy stuff that I think people going, oh, that's a good brand, that's expensive new or whatever, but it
Yeah.
don't mean it's going to sell well on eBay.
Yeah.
And sell through rates as well. The number of people going around here, they're buying stuff from brands that are oversaturated. They're buying a Ralph Lauren polo shirt, say they're spending like £7 or £8 for it, and so they're lucky to get 15 for it.
Yeah.
They're going to make a loss because there's that many listed. There's like 10,000 listed,
Yeah.
and there's maybe 2,000 that have sold. So the sell through rate isn't there. It's going to sit for
Yeah.
ages. Sell
Yeah.
through rate is really important. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of people miss that, don't they? Like the looking at sell through rate as well.
yeah, no, I just think, oh, yeah, this is people have got these listed for 20, 30 quid, but it's going to take you a year to sell it. Think about how many other things you could have sold in that time. You could have made a lot more money from that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, storage is the thing. Having too much stock. Don't just buy stuff. And eventually, I think people should. This is a bit of a perhaps controversial one, but I think it's good sometimes to niche down. So, like yourself with the clothing, you could probably
Yeah.
go in a shop. I imagine you'd be able to go right. Oh, this is good. This is good. This is good because you've sold it before. And you can
Yeah.
come at that shop really quickly.
Yeah.
You've got that knowledge. And other people, say might go in there and they'll go in the media and they go, this is good, and they pull out loads of stuff there
Yeah.
because they built up that knowledge. So having a specialism does help.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Thanks for your comments there, James and Lindsay and Alvin. And Lisa, that one's a little bit crazy. Nick and Andrea, who is this Welsh bloke?
Who's that? That Neil. Get rid of him, Neil Hills. You don't need him.
And we've got Stu in saying tomatoes are the future and turnips and cucumbers, I think actually.
Peppers too.
Yeah, peppers. Cool. So, have you got any goals for like this year? Kind of where you want to take your eBay, or are you quite happy as you are?
Well, I've took a bit of a break from listing this year, so I need to crack back on with that. I've got, as you know, I've moved a lot of stuff into a new unit, and I need to move everything that's in this house out of it. My goal for next year is to sell this house and buy a bigger one that's big enough to accommodate the business and me, and have the two separate. So I've got my own living space and then business space in it.
Yeah.
So I need to push the eBay, to put together some funds for that.
Yeah.
So I will be listed hard, but I want to mainly focus on listing from me backlog and getting that down because we're going
Yeah.
to move house. I don't
Yeah.
want to have stuff to move.
Yeah. And I suppose it'd be nice as well to get rid of your storage units because that's like an extra cost, really, as well, isn't it? Obviously, you
Yeah.
need it, but
Well,
it's quite a cost.
yeah, it's a crazy situation where I can go out and rent storage and spend 400-500 quid a month on it, whatever. But if I was to go to the bank and say I want to buy a bigger house and increase my mortgage by 400 or 500 quid, they'd be going, "Oh, you're having a laugh? You can't afford that." So, well, obviously, yes, I can because here I am paying for storage at a greater amount.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's it's a bit mad, but I'm obviously going to get a bigger mortgage, and the money that I'm spending on renting stuff will instead go towards the mortgage. But
Yeah.
in advantage of that, it always houses over time increase in value. So actually, I'm not losing that money. I'm investing in it. So
Yeah. It's crazy because, like, I mean, I can't get a mortgage at all. I mean, even like, because like the shared ownership like schemes now, even them, like the minimum deposit for a lot of them is now like 25%, not like the 5%. And like the whole point of that was obviously because people couldn't get 25% up together. So, I mean, I can't do it. Obviously, while I'm renting, like, I've never missed a rent payment ever in my life. And, I pay more on rent than what some people do in their mortgage, like we were chatting about earlier. But I can't get a mortgage because I don't have like the deposit and I'm on my own as well. So I can't get even the amount of mortgage that I would need either.
yeah,
But
it's a
I pay rent.
crazy catch-22. Crazy.
Yeah,
But hopefully, make enough on the eBay, put some of that aside. That goes towards a deposit because
yeah,
one of the things I was talking to Stu Mandry, who's in the chat about this. After I've moved next year or whenever, I want to do a YouTube series about how easy is it to save through reselling enough for a deposit on a
yeah,
house and
yeah,
take people through the journey on that. And so it is because I think the opportunity's there, but you got to work. If you're already working full time as well, and you're working on eBay to do it, it's tough.
yeah, yeah. It's a lot, isn't it? But then I'd rather be doing my eBay than doing extra shifts at work any day. um, Andrew solved the tomato and pepper crisis. True
I
story.
did. I did. Lidl, you can buy a tin of chopped tomatoes that have chili and peppers in them.
Oh wow! What more
So
do you
it's all in there, and it's about 40p a can or something.
need? Plenty of onions as a substitute.
We don't do onions; they're a banned subject.
Lisa says she needs more space. Yeah, that's my problem as well. Andrew paints onions red and sells them as tomatoes at inflated price. True story. And Chris says, is he moving because Car Boot Chris is moving next door?
So, funny enough, the area I want to move to is the same area that Carboot Chris wants to move to. But I don't think we'll be in competition because I source from different places. I will carry on sourcing from the places I'm sourcing from now.
Yeah.
And he can have all the clothing and whatever they got over there if he wants. I'd leave him to it. I'll even introduce him to some people who can knock him up.
Limelight, I thought he'd be relocating to Australia.
Mel needs to come to move to me, Limelight. She needs to come here.
Is that where like the land lies then? She's got to come here.
She's got to come to the UK. I can't be going Australia. They haven't even got an ozone layer there, have they? I'll be getting sunburn every day. My pale complexion, I'd not survive.
Andrew is moving closer to car boot Chris so he can pop round for dinner at his leisure.
Very true. Bella's cooked me tea on more than one occasion.
Is she a good cook, Belle?
Yeah, oh yeah, well, better than I am. I think I even had Chris cook me something once before.
Really?
I think they both had a go.
Well, nice.
Very lovely couple, very friendly. If you ever get the opportunity to meet them in person, you know, do it. It's a really, really lovely couple.
Yeah, they seem like really good guys. Actually, I've spoken to Chris on Instagram, like a few times, and seems really good guy. Cool. Well, we are just coming up for 40 minutes, so we'll just start rounding up. So thanks for joining, Andrew. I really appreciate it. It's been a good chat, and we've got Derek Tap Peddler on next week. So do join us for Derek as well. Oh, there's just a question that's popped up here from Nick saying, question for Andrew, who is your favourite Norfolk-based reseller YouTuber?
Probably Laura Stubbs, Nick.
There you go, Nick. Told. Cool. Right, we will start winding up, and I will catch all of you guys next week. Thanks for joining. Really appreciate it, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.